Hello everybody, nice to have you here. Let's proceed to work with a builder, and now we will work with events, and especially with Adobe I/O events for Adobe Commerce. So what does it mean? You have the possibility to use Adobe I/O events that will be subscribed to events that happen in Adobe Commerce system. So for example, order placement, customer creation, and so on. It can be observers and plugins of the system. And then your application can listen to those events and do actions that you need to do. So for example, make an order export to external system if then your order been placed in Magento. So in this way, you create a microservice and then listen to events happen in Adobe Commerce. And how to create a microservice you can watch on the previous video. And today we will proceed with next step. So for that, you need to have a builder application. I will use application I created before. Then we will have Adobe Commerce system that we will configure for events to be sent. And as a helpful part, you may need the official documentation that will help you a lot. So with your Adobe Commerce system, you need to have the module installed. It's named Magento Commerce Eventing. So that will allow you to catch and subscribe to events on Adobe Commerce and send them to Adobe I/O. Just follow the documentation. It's quite easy and straightforward. If you're on a cloud, don't forget to add this section here in your Magento environment YAML file. And that's it. So what you need to do with your application, you need to activate I/O management for it. So we'll go to add service, not event. Let's go to add service API, and then we will select this I/O management API. Let's click next, house authorization, server to server, and then that's it. So we have it ready. So one more point you need to do for your Adobe Builder application is to add another API, which is Adobe I/O events for Adobe Commerce. So that's quite important if you want to use Adobe Commerce with your system. It just basically add the integration. You don't need to do anything else. Then we will go to our configuration in Adobe Services, Adobe I/O events, and then we select authorization type. There are two of them. GVT is deprecated, so please don't use it anymore. For workspace configuration, if you remember, I told some time ago that if you go to overview, you have this download button here. This button download your workspace configuration. So please do it. And then the whole content of this file, don't be surprised, is quite big. Please just paste here. Then you can add an instance ID that's your naming, no convention, just create what you think is comfortable for you and then save it. So then go on your Magento application server and run the bin Magento event create event provider with a label and description. I will place just default one, choose whatever you want. After you will do it, it will trigger the event provider creation. The event provider is needed basically for the systems to know where to listen to. So it's like provider for your events. And it has an ID which you need to save and then paste to here, to event provider ID. What additionally you need to do, you need to enable the events itself. So let's do it. I already have here something set up. So environment, it's your environment. I mean, I named it staging. Merchant ID the same. It's basically name of your merchant ID. If you're working for client, it can be your client name. If you're working for yourself, it can be anything. And then just save it. So at this point, we are more or less done with configuration. And then what we need to do else, we need to subscribe to events. So to subscribe to events, you also run a bin Magento event subscribe command and then define into what to subscribe. So in this case, for example, catalog product save after. And there also like set of the parameter you want to define. So in this case, you tell in which parameters will be sent to event. That's quite critical because on the first version I worked on there, like it sent all object. If it's a product, it's all product. If it's a customer, it's the whole customer. So which can be tricky. You don't want to send your whole customer metadata outside of the system maybe. So you can limit it, let's say, to email or to some identifier even, just to receive the customer by the API later on. So let's try it. I mean, that's a subscription to catalog product save after. I'll just copy it here, go back and run this command against my Magento. I'm telling that, okay, I want to have SKU field exported and the KTI quantity. And it's it. So it's subscribed to event already. How you can see it? If you open the apt-c config file and go to the end, you will see this section appeared. So it's IO events and it's subscribed to catalog product save after. And yeah, that's an information, let's say field that been sent, enabled, disabled. Don't forget to put it into the version control if you don't want to lose it. If, let's say, especially if you're on the cloud, it will be erased with next deployment. Yeah, that's it. We subscribe to event. We already have everything prepared, so we can try and listen to it. To listen to event on your App Builder application, you need to edit. So we're going again to service, but this time we add an event. And we have here the commerce events, if you see. You will see here this test demo staging. That's our provider, which we just created. So click next. That's our event that we registered, catalog product save after. Click again. And then again, authorization type, event registration 1. Let's skip it. And then you can also tell what you want to do with it. So every time event being fired, the system will do some action. If you want to, you can also just ignore it, but that's quite handy. So you can subscribe to the webhook. That's what we will do for purpose of the testing. You can also set a different delivery type. It's delivery type single or batches. You can also use the action of your application. So we have, let's say, 2 actions here, and that means when the event be triggered, an action of my App Builder application will happen. So if you want to, let's say, modify order data and send it to external API, I can call it, and it will call, yes, my action, and I do then whatever I want with the body of request. Amazon Event Bridge, I never tried it, but I assume the same. You can just forward it to Amazon Event Bridge. You can also select nothing. In this case, it will still consume the event and it will be just saved in journaling API, and then you can read it with your application later on if you want to. So I'll choose the webhook just to try it. Let's save it. And here on the left side, you will see the event registration, which also need a verification. And if you go here to webhook, we will see this challenge request. One quite important point. It's not just starting to send the, let's say, post request on product save to the endpoint you defined. It's really following the webhook standard, and webhook standard is that the first request always is a challenge request that provide the validation URL like this, and then system have to usually open it to make a validation. That's what I just did. So your webhook registration has been verified successfully. Only after that, system will acknowledge that the webhook URL correct and work, and only after that starting to use it. Till you didn't pass the validation, it will never use it. For me, happened very often that the client provided me the URL and told, hey, that's the webhook URL, please send a request here. But they provided just link to some controller action, some JavaScript function, whatever else, which is not really the webhook. So the challenge probe does not work. So be careful with this one. After we validated it, we can just see that it's have to be now marked as a validated, and then it's can be used. Here, now it's active. So let's have a look. Let's go to the product editing. Let's choose some test product. And let's change something. So now, after saving the product, we have to receive the request. We can always see it here in debug tracing. That's what's happening when it's been triggered. On Adobe Commerce, it works as following, that when you trigger the action, it's adding it to the queue still, which still executes periodically. So it's not like directly second-to-second request. It may take some time till the queue will be picked up. So if you have too many requests, it still can be some delay on the middle. And here is it. As you can see, that's our payload that we received. We have an SKU here, the stock data, that's what we requested. That's a response from the webhook. And we can also have a look then here that's our request with SKU and stock data. That's it. I hope you enjoyed it. And you know now a bit more about events and how easy basically it's to use it. So then if you have any use cases and questions, don't forget to drop me a message. Don't forget to subscribe, because I know a lot of people watching and they are not subscribed. I see everything. Enjoy and see you on the next videos. Bye bye.